everybody. My name is Stephen D. Kelly. This is the Stephen D. Kelly Show, and we are Truth Cat Radio, www.truthcatradio.com, and it is October 31st, 2024, otherwise known as Halloween. The title of the show, such as it is, let's see what I post. See, I don't think about these things. What did I call this show again? Oh yeah, we dodged a bullet. Pretty sure that's what it is, yeah. We dodged a bullet. There's actually a theme. Now, last week, I had just come back from the Vegas show with a few people in tow, Wooter and Jessica. They just left here a couple of days ago, went back home, and they're doing fine. But I'm just now starting to recover a little bit from the whole experience, the Vegas experience, and I can go back and revisit it a little bit with a little more perspective. And of course, we did also make a big grand trip to the Getty on the Friday directly after the show last week, which was phenomenal. I mean, I could talk about that. Certainly, I would love to share that experience with you guys because things are becoming surreal, at least for myself and anybody involved in the Occupy the Getty mission, especially when you are dealing with the actual Getty. But I wanted to talk more about how we all dodged a bullet here. Not just me. I didn't have any shots fired or anything, but it's like the danger whoosh, is flashed by. It's over. Whatever there was, perceived or otherwise, real. Of course, it's always real. We didn't have to deal with it. Of course, we learned lessons. But the other big thing that we talked about briefly, that we know quite a bit more about now, is the event that took place with Israel and Iran and their whole attack, or lack of attack, in response to the Iranians firing those missiles at their air bases. Now, of course, the scary thing was that Israel was going to do something devastating. Was that they were going to either do something nasty like shoot down or destroy a nuclear facility, or they were going to maybe get all of their jets shot down in an event that would, certainly disrupt the status quo and cause the United States to get involved. But none of that happened. Now, the reason why I even have to talk about this at all is because the media, I'm becoming aware because, I still see the propaganda that gets out there. Occasionally it pops up in front of me. And the lies regarding what's going on in the Middle East. It's almost like them telling us that Ukraine is going to win the war, or Ukraine even has a chance at all, or that Ukraine is not completely getting its butt handed to it, sliced up in pieces. So it's a little different now because of the rhetoric, because we know the truth. Now, the truth is that Iran showed incredible restraint, but at the same time, they demonstrated a high level of accuracy and, inability for those missiles to be intercepted and a lot of destructive force being delivered. And the West played that down, and of course, Israel said they were going to get back. But Israel, of course, all they've got is an air force. They've got aircraft that they've gotten from us, of course, that are supposed to be the best in the world, and they carry their bombs under the wings of those airplanes and fire them off. Now, we talked about the geography of what's involved with a little tiny country like Israel facing a big giant country like Iran. But before I visit those statistics again, I just want to tell you what really happened. What we're finding out now is that a couple things. A, not one Israeli aircraft crossed into Iran, crossed over the border, violated Iranian airspace. Not one. They all stayed out. in spite of the fact that there were numerous air tankers refueling aircraft so that those jets could carry out sorties and loiter and what have you, and be able to take those long, long distances. So not one of those jets crossed. Now, why is that? Because they realized that they would get shot down. They knew that the threat to them, once they crossed into that airspace, was too high. They realized that the Iranians had developed air defenses and electronics and radar countermeasures that were so sophisticated that they didn't dare cross over into that airspace. So what they do, they had to fire their standoff missiles, which were only capable of going so many kilometers, what have you. And most of those got shot down by the substantial Iranian air defense systems, domestically grown systems. Now, the Iranians use a similar approach to air defense as the Russians. It's a multi-layered system with smaller working up to larger projectiles and weapons that they fire at these incoming weapons or aircraft or missiles. Well, they didn't do crap. They didn't do crap. And Iran said, okay, we're not going to respond. Why would they respond? It didn't do crap to them. The Western media says Iran absorbs Iranian or Israeli strike. Absorb. It's a pinprick. It's a pinprick. Those little jets couldn't carry enough ordnance to deliver to that big, monstrous country. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about the distances involved. Because you look at the map, logistically, it's kind of crazy. But the first thing you got to consider is that Israel is 75 times smaller than Iran. It's a little sliver compared to Iran. Big, big area of territory. It's amazing that little Israel would even challenge this country. 75 times the size. Now, obviously, Israel wants to take over parts of Saudi Arabia and Jordan and Lebanon and Syria and Egypt and become greater Israel. But, whether or not that wet dream ever happens, hopefully, God willing, it won't. It would still be incredibly smaller than Iran. Now, when Israel flies its jets and tries to attack Iran, what are they going to? They've got to cross over other countries to do it. They're either going to cross over Jordan, which is likely that will be the first country because Jordan is certainly somewhat friendly to them. But then a little north of that is Syria, which is certainly not friendly to Israeli jets, although Israeli jets violate that airspace all the time. And then, of course, there's Saudi Arabia, just past Jordan, which I don't know if Saudi Arabia is going to be keen on them trying to fly over their territory. But the bulk of that territory, the bulk of that flight has got to go over Iraq. Syria and Iraq are also very big countries compared to that. Now, they could go through Jordan and fly along the border of Iraq and then along the border of Iraq and Saudi Arabia and stay in Saudi airspace, maybe cross over Kuwait into Iran. But that's hundreds of kilometers away from where they want to be. So what happened? They had to fire with what they've got, but I assume they went over Iraq. You know what else they did? They called upon their ally, Azerbaijan, which is a country north of Iran. Again, much, much smaller than Iran. And recently, Azerbaijan went to war with Armenia and sucked up a whole bunch of Armenian territory. And they did it with the help of Israel that supplied drones. So they owed one to Israel. So what did they do? Israel said, you're going to help us with this fantastic, decisive, punishing strike that we must make against Iran. So Azerbaijan fired weapons, supposedly drones, into Iran. Of course, they border Iran, way up there in the north. But you could say that if you were trying to aim for Tehran, the capital of Iran, that you'd probably maybe fire it from Azerbaijan. It's a lot quicker. Well, I'll tell you something. Iran's not too happy with Azerbaijan for doing this, and I suspect that Azerbaijan didn't really have a choice because, you make a deal with the devil, you conquer little Armenia, you take their territory, and you use these Israeli weapons to do it, then yeah, they're probably going to ask for a favor, and this was it. I don't think they're ever going to do that again. I'm pretty sure Azerbaijan knows not to continue any more aggression against Iran. Well, anyway, Israel was so underwhelmed with their ability to attack Iran that they threatened to do it again. Now, this is after Iran, very big of them, went and said that, no, that's okay, we're going to stand by, we're not going to perform any sort of retaliation against Israel after their strike. Their ridiculously puny strike. But that didn't matter, because even though Iran took the high ground and let Israel have the last word, Israel, like a little bitch, said, no, that's not enough. We have to go back and do it again. So they tried to do it again with their Air Force and what have you. But this time, because they are little bitches and they couldn't penetrate anything in Iran that was worth a shit, they did an attack on Syria, and they tried to take out the president of Syria, Bashar Assad. Pretty sure that's his first name, but they attacked his summer palace or something like this, thinking that maybe he would be there. Anyway, he wasn't. They didn't get him. But that's how these bitches act. They're that hard up. So we know that Iran could completely wipe out this little 1/70th of their territory country of Israel and probably not even have to drop one missile on the West Bank or Gaza. But they're not doing it. They don't care. But Israel's going to try as hard as they can to attack, do something, anything they can. What happened here, another fun country right next to Azerbaijan is Georgia. Well, Georgia had an election, and the election didn't quite go the way that the Americans wanted it to go, and they're now threatening Georgia. They've got a woman who's actually president now, but I guess she lost, but who knows what the deal is. But she's actually wasn't even born there. She's French. But we're threatening Georgia. It's interesting. It's almost like the big guys aren't going to put up with our... Not only they're not putting up with our shit, but our blows bounce off them. And like a spoiled brat, we're running around looking for something else to hit, someone else to punish, some other small child that we can try to injure because we can't injure the big one. It's very strange behavior. Anyway, what's happening, though, what's going to happen is chaos. And I have to say that what's going on in Israel, what's going on in, Ukraine, suggests that these people responsible for this stuff, are losing at every turn, rapidly. And the only thing they have left, the only thing the United States has left, is nuclear weapons. That's all we have left. They say that the Patriot missile, this big vaunted thing that they make, nobody really knows of the Patriot missile, but the other big missile they make are these Aegis missiles that they are part of our Navy uses them, and they're quite sophisticated. But supposedly they only make about 12 of these things a year. 12 of these things, 12 of them a year. It's insane. Now, do you know how many missiles China makes in a week? It's like 40,000 or something like this. We are absolutely screwed, and all we've got is the nukes. We're going to get rolled over just like Ukraine is getting rolled over right now. They're trying to separate themselves from Zelensky, who's very upset that his secret plan to have victory that included the United States providing him with Tomahawk missiles, which of course are nuclear capable cruise missiles, was leaked by the media. We don't know what's going to happen. He's threatening us with nukes. He's saying they could make nukes in a week if they wanted to. He's becoming very unstable. And this, of course, is natural because, he knows that the Russians are closing in on him. It's not much time left. And if the Russians don't get him, of course, the Nazis will. The United States is separating themselves from him. And yet at the same time, they want to start a war with China. Anyway, guys, I guess one of the things that I want to suggest to you that would really maybe get through to you is this whole Donald Trump, Kamala Harris thing. It looks to me on the surface that Donald Trump should have this thing in the bag. Everyone knows that Kamala isn't just a Marxist and anathema to everything America stands for, but she's a complete idiot. And if anything, our Occupy the Getty effort should have at least educated a few people as to her true nature and who controls her. But I have a feeling that the election is going to go to her. And I really hope and pray that that doesn't happen, even though I could really care less about Donald Trump. But the point is that even if you look at this as the lesser of two evils, the powers that be, the real powers that be, want chaos. They have to burn the house down because we're losing everything. They are losing everything. There's no way that they can win any of these situations. It's, even the United Kingdom, they're still talking about Zelensky beating Russia and stuff like that. It's absolutely insane, the stuff that's going on in the West. But here in the USA, though, I really don't think Donald Trump is going to win. I think they're going to hand it to that woman, and I think that the intention is for everybody to be rioting in the streets. Either way, I'm certainly sure that if they do steal the election, in any way, that this time it's not going to go over too well. And I think that's exactly what they want. I think Trump knows this and is part of this plan. I really do. I've said it before, if he was really serious and wanted to win, well, he could mention the Getty. He could mention Gordon Getty when he talks about Kamala Harris. Anyway, it's not going to happen. To get back to this whole concept of dodging the bullet, though, just to reiterate something I've been trying to get across, is that I realize that we have reached that point to where the enemy isn't going to do anything. What have they got left? Nuclear war, Armageddon. Everything they try to do fails, keeps failing. And I think that that is a pattern that's going to continue. And the other thing I've noticed is that our message and our significance and our reach or actual power based on the number of people out there that follow us is growing rapidly. And of course, we can thank P. Diddy for that. And even Cecilia Alley Carter. I was in a restaurant, I think what it was, I was talking to a waitress. I probably told you the story already, but trying to explain to her, she was kind of curious what we were all about and what told her Occupy the Getty. And she says, what? She didn't understand. I said, okay, P. Diddy? Yes. Tunnels? Yes. They connect to this place. Oh. See, people, how simple and easy it is? What a tool. Anyway, the point is that we're on fire, and obviously that has a lot to do with the work that you guys have done, especially the people that came out to see me in Vegas. Guys. And I think that these world events that we fear, these threats of a dying enemy lashing out and trying to cause false flags or scenarios that lead us into some sort of catastrophic situation. I think that the stronger we get, I think the less possibility that anything they do is going to succeed. I think we are changing timelines. I think we are taking away their power. And I think they know there's nothing that they can do. So I personally have found a lot more confidence. And obviously well, if you know me, you saw me walking around in the Getty, you know I already have a pretty substantial amount of confidence. I'd bow to no one. So I think that this bodes well. I think this bodes well for all of us. I think that this bodes well for the plan. Pretty excited about it. What else can I tell you guys? I'll tell you one thing. We sure shocked them when we walked around the Getty. Now, obviously, having an entourage and having Jessica do the filming, you know, we looked like we were right out of Hollywood, of course. But the way these guys followed me around and the way I walked around like I owned the place, and we really screwed them up. We really messed with the brains of all those people. They just did not know what to think because we were not reacting to the money. We were not reacting to the power. We were not impressed. Unlike these other people, we rose above it. We truly do own this stuff. I want you guys to feel the same way. I want you to have a lot of faith. I really do. You know, there's a guy in the group the other day, silly group. He's not there anymore, of course, but he actually kind of made a threat. He said, some of these people will follow you into a burning house. And he went on and said this, I'm just paraphrasing at this point, but he basically said that he's not going to fall for it. I had 24 hours to provide him some sort of proof to back up my claims about what's going on under the Getty. Now, this happened relatively early in the morning. I don't know. He had a picture of himself that looked like he was a warehouse worker somewhere, maybe in, I don't know, Czechoslovakia. I don't know. I'm going to say Ukraine. But either way, after completely losing my cool and bouncing the dude, well, if you haven't read my book, if you haven't followed me for 20 years or 15 years or 12 years or whatever the hell it is, if you haven't listened to the, what is it now, thousands of shows that we've done, and realize that we can get away with this stuff, and realize that when we do walk around the Getty, they don't know what to do with us. They still let me in. It's crazy. Anyway, the point is that it's only a matter of time. It really is. It's only a matter of time. There's nothing they can do to stop this. And I have no intention whatsoever of stopping myself. So I'm really looking forward to what's going on. I'm not going to go too long tonight because basically, again, like I said, this whole dodging a bullet thing, once again, there are no bullets. There is no enemy that can touch us. Anything we do, we succeed at. Anything the enemy does to try to thwart us fails. There isn't going to be an Armageddon. There isn't going to be an Antichrist. There's going to be Occupy the Getty. That's it. That's all you're going to get from me tonight, folks. Again, like I said, I'm still recuperating from last week, but I do want to say happy Halloween to you people that, don't want to curse me and say, it's just a blah, blah." You know what? Today's my dad's birthday. He was born today. So I know I should be burning a candle and all this good stuff, but I'm not. But we still chat. Anyway, so here's to you, Dad. Happy birthday. The rest of you guys, keep up the good work. Do everything you can to keep making this operation hip. You're why we're succeeding. Now, if you want to help me economically, here it comes. PayPal, Stephen Kelly 714 at yahoo.com. Please say it's for friend or family. And every little bit helps, and I appreciate every little bit. And let's see what else. Oh, yeah, if you need the book, of course, and you need to talk to me for any reason whatsoever, start out by sending me an email to law17gun@aol.com. All right, that's for all my correspondence. And I'll be happy to answer you. All right, what else? Oh, yes, also, please join the Telegram group. We're going to be hitting 8,000 here pretty quick. I appreciate that, all of you guys that have joined. I've got a couple more shows to do. I've been doing a few podcasts and what have you. I've got, let's see, Strange Brew coming up. I've got another one with Paranautica, I think they call themselves. This is going to be on November 7th, November 10th. I'll keep you guys posted. But anyway, if you do want me to do a interview of any kind whatsoever, I really would appreciate it. Help out the mission. Just send me an email. Let me know what's a good time. All right. All right. Like I said, this is it for me tonight because I got to go. I'm so worried kids are going to come to my door. No, nobody's going to come to my door. I'll see you guys soon. All right. Join Telegram group, Occupy the Gay / Stephen Kelly. All right. And let's see what else. Nope. That's good enough. All right. All right, people. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week. And I do appreciate all of you that have stuck around and listened to my Halloween show today. All right. Love y'all. Good night. God bless. Adios and goodbye.